Former President Jacob Zuma has launched a counter application before the Constitutional Court. He wants to have the 6 justices who presided over his contempt of court matter in 2021 to recuse themselves. This as the Apex Court is set to hear the matter between the IEC and the MK party next Friday. The matter is scheduled to be heard on the 10th of May. However, the application launched by Zuma may delay the court's ability to preside over the matter. Zuma is relying on Section 167, subsection 2 of the Constitution that prescribes that a matter before the highest court in the land must be heard by at least 8 judges. Zuma and to some extent the MK party are contending in papers that at least 6 justices of the Apex Court are tainted by bias and are not fit to sit in the upcoming hearing, as they were part of the bench that sentenced him to 15 months imprisonment. Zuma will have to prove this by meeting the stringent test of a reasonable apprehension of bias. For more on this matter, we're now joined by political analyst Sandile Swana, and he joins us now via our video link. Mr. Swana, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, just looking at the latest development coming out from the ConCourt and former President Jacob Zuma and this application which has now been filed, what do you make of the latest move by the former president?
Thank you so much, Bali, and your viewers. President Jacob Zuma now basically doesn't want the hearing to take place until the elections are concluded, because if he succeeds in disqualifying 6 of the judges, then the Constitutional Court will not have any capacity anytime soon to reconvene and judge the case before the elections. It's unlikely that they'll be able to do that. So he's basically stalling the process.
So you're basically saying that this is a political move because we are just a few weeks away from the May 29 polls.
Yes. Bear in mind that in the first instance, the sentence, the 15-month sentence that is in question here, comes through the conflict between the Zondo Commission and Zuma himself, which eventually became a conflict between Zuma and the Constitutional Court because he was defying the Zondo Commission, and the Zondo Commission asked the Constitutional Court to intervene, and it defied the Constitutional Court. So it became both a civil and a criminal matter against him. So that is where this comes from. But politically, Zuma and his crew do not feel that the Zondo Commission was a worthwhile enterprise. They feel that it was biased against the Zuma family and the Kuta family, and hopefully in the new political dispensation after May 29, they might want to dissolve the whole thing.
And taking a step back and looking at what you're talking about now, the Zondo Commission, we remember when the former president asked the Chief Justice now to step down and recuse himself from those hearings, but Justice Zondo refused to do so. And should we find ourselves in that position here where these justices refuse to recuse themselves, what does this mean for the elections from a political point of view?
There is no threat to the elections. Remember that Zuma is just one person and the MK party is just one person. And the case really, let's say Zuma lost the case. It would simply say that Zuma cannot be the candidate and possibly that his face must not appear on the ballot box. But it's already on the ballot paper, sorry. It's already 3 weeks before the election. He's done a lot of the campaigning and is going to continue doing the campaigning, and the logo of MK will not change. So it's much of a muchness, really. But Zuma being Zuma, he has to fight for his rights, and he will fight for his rights that he thinks he has. These justices may, in the interest of fairness, agree to recuse themselves so that an independent bench comes to a conclusion. And then it will be a big blow to Zuma if an independent bench separate from this one actually comes to the same conclusion. That will be a blow in the house. Yeah.
Are the latest actions from the former president warranted in him saying that he wants a fair hearing in the Constitutional Court and he doesn't want to see these former justices, justices who presided over his contempt of court matter? Would you say that his request to the Constitutional Court is indeed fair?
Yes, there is a degree to which it is fair. You must remember that the fight in the initial stages was between the Zondo Commission and Zuma himself. And then later on, the fight became between Zuma and the Constitutional Court. So what actually got him sent to prison, more than defying the Zondo Commission, was his fight with the judges, fight with the court, the Constitutional Court. So, and the Constitutional Court then sentenced him. But because it is the apex court, there was no room for appeal. And I think legal scholars will now have to come to the party because from an electoral perspective, it says that even if Zuma had a 15-year sentence, it would not be relevant to the electoral process if his appeal is not yet concluded. So the Constitutional Court did not give Zuma a right to appeal, which I would suppose, they being the Constitutional Court, they would have, it would be difficult because there's no place to appeal to. So those are some of the nuances. But yes, Zuma is correct in saying, I was fighting with you guys and you guys sentenced me. So I need a different set of judges. I think morally that is a sensible argument to make. As to whether legal scholars and legal practitioners look at it that way, it's another matter altogether.
What is the likelihood of us seeing this matter between the IEC and the MK party being heard in the Constitutional Court now that we see this latest application? Do you think that there's a possibility that we can go through elections without this matter sitting before the Constitutional Court?
Yes, I think that, remember that the other part of these proceedings is that Zuma's lawyers have also applied to say this matter is not urgent. It can be resolved after the elections. And I think some of us who commentate on politics have said, actually, the IEC must focus on its proper job, which is to run a free and fair election. The issue of disqualified people can be removed even after the election. It doesn't mean that if Zuma is on the ballot paper now, he cannot be removed later if he needs to be removed. So this issue is just creating turbulence and unnecessary disturbances to the election process, which over the years since 1994 has had credibility and been trusted to a large degree by all Africans on the African continent and by South Africans, as well as other bodies internationally. So there is a need to really say the things that are not part of the program to run the elections on the 29th of May must be put in abeyance until the elections are concluded.
All right, Mr. Swana, thank you so much for your contributions tonight here at SABC News.